In a time when the world trembled on the brink of monumental change, the island of Saipan emerged as a silent sentinel amid the vast, restless Pacific. The whispers of conflict had long rippled across distant lands, yet here on Saipan, an ominous quiet prevailed, a silence pregnant with foreboding destiny. The tropical paradise, with its lush vegetation and azure waters, masked a turbulent future as empires clashed in an unforgiving contest of wills. This land, untouched by the ravages of time, would soon bear witness to acts of valor and sacrifice that transcended the ordinary, becoming etched into the collective memory of nations. Beneath the radiant sky and the soft hum of the ocean, the island was an unlikely stage for the cataclysm to come. Here, indigenous tales and legends mingled with the emerging histories of foreign powers, tales of ancient mariners, courageous warriors, and gods who walked among men. Yet, as the drums of war began to echo faintly in the distance, a new chapter was being written, one that would see Saipan transformed from a peaceful haven into a battleground where ideals and destinies would be irrevocably intertwined. The distant rumble of approaching warplanes and the quiet murmur of strategic discussions reached the ears of commanders and common soldiers alike. In whispered conversations in the back rooms of hastily erected barracks and on the sandy beaches, where the tide receded to reveal hidden truths, there arose a singular, resolute understanding. Saipan would be the crucible in which the fate of the Pacific would be decided. In every heartbeat, every measured step along the shore, the echo of coming conflict resonated. The island's tranquil beauty belied an undercurrent of tension that foreshadowed the brutality to follow, a battle not only for the control of land, but for the soul of an entire region. In the early hours before dawn, when the horizon glowed with the tentative blush of a new day, the island's inhabitants went about their lives, unaware of the looming maelstrom. Fishermen cast their nets into the deep blue expanse, and farmers tended to their fields with gentle diligence. The natural rhythms of Saipan, dictated by the cycles of the sun and the tides, continued unabated. Yet, in the hearts of those destined to become entwined in the struggle, a storm of apprehension began to gather. It was not merely a tempest of nature, but one wrought by human ambition and the inexorable march of history. Across the vast expanse of the Pacific, in sprawling military camps and aboard formidable naval vessels, preparations for a campaign of unprecedented scale were underway. The leaders of mighty nations, burdened with the weight of destiny, meticulously orchestrated their strategies. Every detail was scrutinized, from the selection of landing sites to the coordination of air support. In hushed briefing rooms illuminated by maps and charts, commanders debated the best approach to secure an island that had become the fulcrum of power in the Pacific theater. As soldiers readied themselves for the coming ordeal, they clung to memories of home and dreams of a better future. The letters they carried, filled with hope and longing, bore silent testimony to the sacrifices demanded by war. In quiet moments before the thunder of battle, personal recollections mingled with the solemn duty of service. The weight of uncertainty pressed upon every soul, a reminder that the cost of victory was measured not only in strategic gains, but in the blood and spirit of those who dared to fight. With each sunrise, the island's beauty stood in stark contrast to the horror that would soon be unleashed, a cruel irony of nature's serenity amid man's capacity for destruction. The convergence of destinies began with the assembling of brave warriors from far-flung corners of the globe. On one side stood the forces determined to liberate the Pacific from the iron grip of tyranny, a coalition forged from disparate nations united by a common cause. Their faces, hardened by months of relentless training and endless nights spent dreaming of peace, now shone with determination and resolve. In the cool shadows of dawn, these soldiers gathered near the shores of Saipan, where the scent of salt and the promise of sacrifice mingled in the air. Commanders moved among their men with resolute purpose, delivering stirring speeches that kindled the flames of courage even in the hearts of the most fearful. Their words, imbued with both wisdom and urgency, resonated across the ranks. They spoke of duty and destiny, of the noble traditions of sacrifice, and the inexorable march toward a free and just future. Each soldier, whether a young recruit or a battle-hardened veteran, felt the gravity of their mission as if etched into their very souls. In the distance, the enemy prepared with equal fervor, a force driven by an ideology that prized honor above life, yet paradoxically enforced it through ruthless total war. The opposing soldiers, bound by strict codes of conduct and indoctrinated with a fierce sense of nationalism, readied themselves for the impending clash. Their determination was no less formidable, their resolve unyielding. Every individual on both sides knew that the battle for Saipan was more than a contest of arms. It was a collision of cultures, of beliefs, and of the very essence of humanity itself. In the twilight hours preceding the assault, both armies took a final moment to reflect on the enormity of what was to come. The cool ocean breeze, carrying whispers of ancient legends, seemed to murmur of the impending clash. A reminder that, once ignited, the flames of war could not be easily extinguished. Amid the chaos of preparations, the island stood as an indifferent witness to the gathering storm, its serene landscapes poised to bear the scars of a conflict that would forever alter the course of history. Without the herald of a ticking clock, the first surge of battle erupted like a sudden, violent storm against the calm backdrop of the island's warriors. The siege on Saipan was not a mere military maneuver. It was an all-encompassing collision of wills, a ferocious encounter that would redefine the boundaries of sacrifice. As the soldiers charged forward from their landing crafts, the ocean itself seemed to tremble with the force of their determination. The echoing boom of artillery and the piercing roar of aircraft merged with the anguished cries of combatants, creating a symphony of chaos that reverberated across the island. The beach, once a tranquil expanse of golden sand, transformed into a tumultuous battleground. Every grain of sand bore witness to the passage of heroes and martyrs, each marked by the indelible scars of war. Soldiers advanced under a relentless barrage, their silhouettes merging with the horizon as they pressed into enemy lines. The tumult of explosions and the acrid smell of burning fuel mingled with the salty tang of the sea, crafting a sensory tapestry that captured the essence of conflict. In the midst of the chaos, individual stories unfolded with heartbreaking clarity. A young lieutenant, his face etched with both determination and the weight of loss, led his squad through a narrow corridor of devastation. The intensity of the battle was palpable in every breath, every desperate cry for comrades lost in the relentless tide of combat. Across the battlefield, medics worked feverishly to mend shattered lives, their hands trembling with both exhaustion and the urgent need to preserve hope in a landscape where death lurked behind every corner. The enemy, entrenched in a network of fortified positions, responded with an unyielding ferocity. Their strategy was one of desperate defense, an attempt to repel the invaders by any means necessary. The clashing of weapons and the relentless push and pull of advancing and retreating forces painted a vivid picture of total war, a war where every moment was a battle for survival, and every decision bore the potential to alter the outcome of the conflict. As the battle raged on, the island of Saipan became a microcosm of a larger struggle, a poignant reminder of the brutal realities of war and the indomitable human spirit that rose to meet it. Deep within the island's rugged terrain, where dense foliage provided both cover and peril, the battle escalated to a level of intensity that defied expectation. Here, amidst the tangled undergrowth and the ruins of abandoned structures, small unit engagements erupted into fierce firefights that epitomized the savage unpredictability of war. Every step forward was hard-won, each inch of ground claimed with blood, sweat, and unyielding resolve. In one particularly harrowing engagement, a group of soldiers found themselves pinned down by a relentless hail of enemy fire. With the thunder of artillery echoing in the distance and the chaos of battle surrounding them, they clung to the hope of a breakthrough. The air was thick with dust and the acrid scent of gunpowder, while the earth itself trembled under the relentless pounding of combat. Amid the roar of battle, the sound of a single defiant shout rose above the din. A cry of unyielding determination that spurred the beleaguered unit to press forward despite overwhelming odds. Throughout the battle, acts of extraordinary bravery unfolded in the most unexpected places. A medic risked his own life to drag an injured comrade from the line of fire, every second fraught with danger, yet underscored by an unbreakable bond of loyalty. A lone sniper, hidden among the ruins of a shattered building, became the silent guardian of his unit, his precise aim providing crucial cover as his fellow soldiers surged forward. Every moment in this crucible of conflict was a testament to the enduring human capacity for courage, even in the face of insurmountable adversity. Yet, the heart of the battle was not only measured by individual acts of heroism, but by the collective spirit that bound soldiers together. In the darkest hours of the conflict, when the cost of each victory was measured in the lives of comrades and friends, there emerged a deep and abiding sense of purpose. It was the understanding that, regardless of the horrors endured on that blood-stained field, their struggle was part of something far greater, a fight for freedom, for justice, and for the future of countless generations. In every desperate charge and every resolute stand, the spirit of Saipan was forged anew in the crucible of battle. As the days merged into a relentless continuum of conflict, the battle for Saipan evolved into a test of endurance as much as of tactical prowess. The once pristine island landscape bore the scars of relentless warfare. Craters, trenches, and makeshift fortifications crisscrossed the terrain, transforming the natural beauty of Saipan into a haunting tableau of devastation. Yet, amid this desolation, the human spirit shone through, undimmed by the horrors of a conflict that spared no mercy. Under an unyielding sun, soldiers trudged through the rugged terrain, their faces etched with fatigue, yet alight with the fierce determination to prevail. Every step forward was a small victory over despair, a defiant act of hope in a world turned upside down. In the quiet moments between the chaos, when the only sounds were the whispers of the wind and the distant rumble of artillery, memories of home provided solace. The recollections of quiet evenings spent with loved ones, the gentle laughter shared in simpler times, became fuel for the indomitable will to survive and fight on. Within the tangled maze of defensive positions, every skirmish became a microcosm of the larger war. A sergeant's hushed command over a squad hidden in the shadow of a ruined village. A solitary soldier's desperate bid for cover under a crumbling wall. Each act was imbued with the weight of sacrifice. The fierce struggle on Saipan was not simply a clash of armies, but a profound confrontation between the light of hope and the darkness of despair. Every encounter, whether in the open fields or the cramped confines of a foxhole, resonated with the timeless struggle between duty and the unyielding call of one's conscience. In one such encounter, a small unit found itself in a bitter standoff against a well-entrenched enemy force. The air vibrated with tension as both sides exchanged volleys of fire, each burst of gunfire a desperate plea for survival. The soldiers, united by an unspoken camaraderie, communicated through fleeting glances and whispered words, each man aware that his fate was intertwined with that of his comrades. In this fierce struggle, even the smallest acts of defiance, a well-aimed shot, a daring dash across open ground, took on monumental significance. Every life lost in that crucible of combat was a stark reminder of the ultimate cost of war and the enduring price of freedom. As the relentless struggle wore on, subtle shifts in the balance of power began to emerge. The unwavering determination of the liberating forces, bolstered by innovative tactics and a steadfast resolve, gradually turned the tide of battle. The enemy, once seemingly insurmountable in its defenses, began to falter under the cumulative weight of continuous assault and the piercing clarity of a united purpose. In the heart of Saipan, where the scars of battle were etched into the very fabric of the land, the relentless push forward sparked a slow but undeniable shift. It was during these critical moments that the brilliance of military strategy came into stark focus. Commanders, drawing upon both historical wisdom and the harsh lessons of recent skirmishes, recalibrated their approaches with precision and care. Their orders, delivered with a calm urgency that belied the chaos of the battlefield, reinvigorated the troops. New flanking maneuvers, coordinated artillery barrages, and daring night raids began to undermine the enemy's morale and destabilize their entrenched positions. In one remarkable instance, a coordinated effort by a mixed unit of infantry, armor, and aerial support succeeded in breaching a once impregnable defensive line. The resulting surge of momentum was palpable, a tangible affirmation that the struggle was far from lost. With every reclaimed foothold and every enemy stronghold forced into retreat, the liberating forces were reminded that even in the darkest moments, hope could be rekindled. The shifting tide was not just a change in tactical advantage. It was the resurgence of the human spirit, the assertion that even the most brutal conflicts could be swayed by courage and conviction. The narrative of Saipan was being rewritten with every heroic charge and every calculated maneuver. The turning tide brought with it a newfound optimism, a belief that victory, however costly, was within reach. Yet, even as the liberators advanced, the heavy toll of the conflict weighed upon them. The bittersweet taste of progress was underscored by the silent lament for comrades lost in the relentless march of battle. In the interplay of hope and sorrow, the battle for Saipan took on a transcendent quality, a living testament to the triumph of human resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity. Within the chaotic swirl of combat, individual acts of sacrifice and valor emerged as beacons of light amid the pervasive darkness. The battle was punctuated by countless moments where ordinary men transcended the bounds of fear to embrace extraordinary courage. Each act of heroism, whether celebrated or unsung, added to the collective legacy of Saipan, a testament to the enduring power of selflessness in times of crisis. A young soldier, barely out of adolescence, became an emblem of unwavering dedication when he risked his life to rescue a wounded comrade under a relentless hail of bullets. His every step was a defiant protest against the inexorable pull of despair. a testament to the unbreakable bonds of brotherhood forged in the crucible of war. In another instance, a seasoned sergeant, whose weathered face bore the marks of many battles, inspired his unit to hold their ground in the face of an enemy assault. His calm, resolute demeanor in the midst of chaos became a source of strength for those who followed him, a living reminder that valor was not measured by the absence of fear, but by the courage to act in spite of it. The sacrifices were not limited to individual feats. They reverberated through the ranks, uniting soldiers in a shared purpose that transcended personal ambition. Letters from home, worn and creased with constant handling, spoke of love, hope, and a yearning for peace, a poignant counterpoint to the stark realities of warfare. These small tokens of human connection provided comfort and served as silent affirmations that every sacrifice, no matter how great, was in service of a noble cause. In the heart of Saipan, the narrative of sacrifice and valor was etched into every trench, every shattered wall, and every scarred field, a living monument to those who had given everything for the promise of a better future. As the battle raged on, the stories of individual heroism began to weave together into a rich tapestry of collective memory. The courage of a medic who refused to abandon his post, the determination of a machine gun team that held its position against overwhelming odds, and the quiet resolve of those who carried on in the face of unspeakable horror. All of these acts melded into an enduring legacy. The sacrifices made on the blood-soaked fields of Saipan would resonate far beyond the immediate theater of war, inspiring generations to come with the timeless message that true heroism is forged in the crucible of adversity. In the final throes of the battle, as the liberating forces tightened their grip on Saipan, the taste of victory was as sweet as it was sorrowful. The hard-won triumph came at an immense cost, a price measured not only in the shattered lives of those who had fought valiantly, but in the collective grief of a nation mourning its fallen heroes. Amid the crumbling remnants of enemy fortifications and the echoing silence of a battlefield momentarily stilled, the stark reality of the conflict emerged in full measure. The aftermath of the battle was a tableau of bittersweet triumph. Soldiers, their uniforms stained with the toll of combat, moved with solemn purpose through the ruined landscapes. Every step taken in the aftermath was a somber acknowledgement of lives sacrificed in the pursuit of freedom. The liberating forces, now standing victorious on the scarred soil of Saipan, could not help but feel the weight of the cost exacted by the relentless struggle. In the quiet moments following the last echoes of gunfire, memories of fallen comrades loomed large, a silent chorus of loss and remembrance that underscored the profound human tragedy of war. Communities, forever altered by the ravages of battle, began the arduous process of rebuilding amid ruins. The island itself, a silent witness to both the glory and the grief of conflict, bore the physical scars of destruction, a poignant reminder of the price of peace. Yet, even as the cost of victory was painfully acknowledged, the spirit of resilience and the hope for renewal shone through. The brave souls who had endured the inferno of battle carried with them the promise of a new beginning, a promise that the sacrifices of the past would serve as the foundation for a more just and peaceful future. Communities, forever altered by the ravages of battle, began the arduous process of rebuilding amid ruins. The island itself, a silent witness to both the glory and the grief of conflict, bore the physical scars of destruction, a poignant reminder of the price of peace. Yet, even as the cost of victory was painfully acknowledged, the spirit of resilience and the hope for renewal shone through. The brave souls who had endured the inferno of battle carried with them the promise of a new beginning, a promise that the sacrifices of the past would serve as the foundation for a more just and peaceful future. In the days that followed, ceremonies of remembrance were held beneath the open skies of Saipan. Memorials were raised, and stories of courage and loss were shared in hushed, reverent tones. The legacy of the battle became more than a historical event. It evolved into a living, breathing narrative of sacrifice, an enduring symbol of the human cost of war and the eternal hope for redemption. In every tear shed for a fallen comrade, in every whispered prayer for peace, the spirit of Saipan endured, a testament to the courage of those who had fought and the everlasting memory of their sacrifice. As the years turned into decades, the echoes of the Battle of Saipan continued to reverberate far beyond the shores of that scarred island. The legacy of the conflict, steeped in both triumph and tragedy, became an enduring chapter in the annals of history, a story of valor, sacrifice, and the ceaseless struggle for freedom that transcended the boundaries of time and space. In the hearts of those who remembered, Saipan was not merely an island, but a hallowed ground where the ideals of courage and resilience had been tested against the crucible of war. Monuments rose from the remnants of battle, and the stories of heroism and loss were carefully preserved through oral traditions, written histories, and the silent vigil of memorials that dotted the landscape. Veterans and survivors, their eyes reflecting the enduring flame of remembrance, recounted tales of courage and sorrow, ensuring that the lessons of Saipan would never be forgotten. Their voices, carried on the wind and etched into the very fabric of the island, spoke of a time when the cost of victory was paid in blood and hope, a time when every sunrise promised the possibility of a new beginning amid the ruins of conflict. The legacy of Saipan became a powerful symbol, a reminder that the struggle for freedom and justice was an eternal flame, kindled anew with every generation. It was a story of how ordinary men and women, bound by a shared destiny, had risen above the horrors of war to forge a future defined by peace and resilience. In classrooms, in museums, and in the hearts of those who dared to dream of a better world, the lessons of Saipan resonated as a clarion call to honor the past by building a future free from the specter of war. Even as the world continued to evolve, the timeless narrative of Saipan served as both a warning and an inspiration, a vivid reminder that the pursuit of peace demanded unwavering courage and unyielding sacrifice. In every quiet moment of reflection, in every stirring retelling of battles fought and lives lost, the spirit of Saipan endured as an everlasting beacon of hope. The island, though forever altered by the ravages of war, remained a testament to the human capacity for resilience, a living chronicle of the enduring power of sacrifice, valor, and the unbreakable bond that unites all who stand against the darkness. As the final chapter of the Battle of Saipan was written in the annals of history, its echoes continued to resound in the hearts of those who had borne witness to its trials. The voices of heroes long gone whispered on the wind, a timeless testament to the sacrifices that had forged a path toward a future defined by hope. Saipan's legacy was not confined to the pages of history but lived on in every act of courage, every defiant stand against oppression, and every memory shared in honor of those who had given everything for a better world. In the gentle murmur of the ocean and the rustling of the island's enduring foliage, one could almost hear the voices of the past urging future generations to remember. They spoke of a time when the forces of tyranny were met by the unyielding might of those who believed in freedom, of a battle where every life lost was a solemn vow never to let darkness prevail. Their stories, woven into the very soul of Saipan, would continue to inspire and remind the world that the cost of peace was eternal, and that the courage to fight for it was the truest measure of humanity. Thus, the Saga of Saipan became an everlasting ode to the indomitable human spirit, a narrative of struggle and sacrifice that transcended the passage of time. It was a story that would forever remind future generations that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, the light of hope and the will to persevere could never be extinguished.